Well, Donald Trump and his legal team are vowing to fight those charges.
Yeah, the former president says there's effectively no case against him, and he added the investigation is politically motivated as part of stopping him from becoming president once again. Now, Trump's lawyer, Joe Tacopina, you see him on the right of your screen. He spoke with our John Dickerson on CBS Mornings, arguing the merits of the case against his client.
This indictment was very vanilla. I mean, it did not list the underlying crimes he's allegedly intended to cover up with those false business records, because
the DA
that's
says
what makes it a felony. So the DA says it doesn't have to what?
It doesn't have to list the crimes, that's not required by law.
No.
And among
right.
those he listed, he said taxes were one of the
crimes, but normally it doesn't have to list the crimes, but normally it does. Okay, you don't have by law to list the crimes in an indictment, but what's to hide? Why wouldn't they bring them forward? What, to get some strategic advantage? I mean, this is not a game. You're charging the president of the United States with crimes that will never be sustained in a court of law because they don't exist.
Jessica Levinson has been all over this. She is our CBS News legal contributor and Loyola Law School professor. Jessica, we heard the former president's attorney, Joe Tacopina, argue that the DA should have listed underlying crimes in the indictment, that that is a normal practice and that it is required for these falsification of business records to actually rise to the level of a felony. First of all, fact-check us on that, and then tell us, do you think that the exclusion of those the listing of those underlying crimes is a weak link in DA Alvin Bragg's case?
So he's under no obligation to list those additional crimes. And I've spoken to a number of prosecutors since the complaint came out, and they all said, why would I? I would offer myself maximum flexibility. And why would I telegraph earlier than I need to, specifically how I'm going to connect all of these dots here? We actually did learn more from the prosecution in that press conference. It wasn't in the statement of facts. It wasn't fully fleshed out, but he said a little more in the press conference. And this is what we expected, right? That we're dealing with the falsification of business records. Typically, that's a misdemeanor. What you have to show in that complaint, in that indictment, is that in order to move up to a felony, that they want to prove that the former president had the intent to commit or conceal another crime. And they said, we're going to do that. In the statement of facts, they said, we're talking about election laws and we're talking about tax laws. In the press conference, the prosecutor said, we're looking at state and federal election laws, and we're looking at state and federal tax laws. He was a little bit vague about the tax laws, but would I personally have loved to see more? Would I have loved to have seen those code sections, the sections of the statute? Sure, because I'm curious, but that doesn't mean that it's good legal strategy for the prosecution just to fulfill my curiosity.
And Jessica, that's what struck me as well. His team knew this was coming, and their strongest argument is that, hey, there was simply no crime at play in this case. And as you've just spelled out, in Bragg's press conference, he said, effectively, if there's an election fraud case, the victim there is the general public. If it's tax fraud, the victim there is the tax-paying New Yorkers. And so how strong is what we heard yesterday as far as a winnable case compared to this Trump team argument that, hey, nothing is illegal from what we see?
Well, we're talking about crimes here, and we're talking about provisions of the criminal code. So if you violate the provisions of the criminal code that are listed, of course, there are crimes present. Of course, there is a there. Now, this case is certainly, in my view, not frivolous, but are there some real thresholds that the prosecution has to get past in order to get from an indictment to a conviction? Because let's remember, in any case, that is a big line from indictment to conviction. And sure, there are. So we anticipate that the defense will argue that the statute of limitations have run. They'll say the statute of limitations is 5 years. It's more than 5 years. But there's an exception to the statute when somebody has been continuously out of the state. And I believe that exception applies here. We also think that defense will argue perhaps that the prosecution doesn't have the power to point to state election laws when we're referring to the former president, who of course was a federal candidate.
Yeah.
That's another threshold for the prosecution. And then finally, we're talking about a state prosecutor who is potentially hooking these state crimes to other federal crimes, another threshold that I think is passable, but a real one that the prosecution will have to pass here.
So, Jessica, then the obvious next question is, just as Trump's legal team is trying to get this case dismissed, is there a likelihood that that could happen, and how long might that part of the process take place?
So it is possible. I do not think that the entire case will be thrown out. If you look at the crux of this, which is the falsification of business records and those 34 counts based on 11 different repayments, that looks strong. But I will, of course, say this is just based on the complaint, on the statement of facts, and on the reporting. The prosecution knows more than we do, which is entirely appropriate at this particular circumstance. So having to guess a little bit, I would say if we see a dismissal, it will be partial. It will be based on the idea that you can't hook this to the other crimes. We could potentially also see the defense say, if you're talking about federal crimes, we need to be in federal court. And we also know separately that the defense will try and change the venue in this case. I don't think that will be successful, but all of which to say is, if this were an exam question, I would expect my students to spot a number of different issues and say, there's a real analysis here that I need to go through.
Jessica Levinson, sorting out the spin from the facts. Thank you.
Thanks, Jessica.
Thank you.